Alright, we're going to go a lot deeper into the Centerline punch today in Wing Chun. Now, as I've said before in other videos, everything we do with the Centerline punch, we're always aiming for the apex of the triangle here. My middle knuckles in the centerline, my shoulders are square to that triangle, and I always want to focus on the elbow pushing forward with that. Alright, so remember, why do we focus on the elbow? Well, the reason we focus on the elbow is because it allows you to find a natural balanced tension throughout the whole arm. A lot of times if you focus on the fist, you're going to be putting way too much tension on the hand, the wrist, maybe even the forearm to try to create what you think is the correct tension to hold that. And that's actually going to throw that off, because everything you do, you want to have a balanced, controllable tension. I never want to have more tension in my hand compared to my shoulder or vice versa. So that's why we focus on the elbow. A lot of times with Wing Chun, we're always trying to find the balance point with everything that we do. And the punch is no different. So that's why we focus, just simply focus on the elbow to make that motion go forward. Now, why do we focus and do what we call this vertical fist? Well, if you look deeper into Wing Chun, the idea is to find out what is the natural motion of how the body works and everything you're doing. Individually, structurally speaking, the arm structure, the body structure, the leg structure. And then ultimately you have to bring all three of those together to make one unified body structure. That takes a lot of time and practice. And that's why you do a variety of drills. Individual structural drills, arm drills, body drills, leg drills, but then ultimately the drills need to come together. And you're going to be doing overall drills that combine the whole body as one structure to create the proper coordination and ultimately the tension from top to bottom and everything in between. So that's why when I'm here, I'm focusing on that elbow. Now the reason for that, like I was saying, is because if you think for a second, taking outside of Wing Chun and just look at some natural body actions. If I think, oh, I'm going to push that car. Are you going to push that car where my arms are out here? No, of course not. Am I going to push that car where my arms are leaning forward here? Yeah, you may do that very briefly, but your arms are going to fatigue because the further away your arms get from your body, the more muscle you use. So if you look at like how people push things in a state of emergency, of a natural reaction, your arms are going to be right here, just very, very minimally in front of your body. You're not going to be pushing out here because why? Your shoulders are going to fatigue more. But if you see people push something, they're here. Oh, they're going to go and push that object, whatever it is, in more of a position like this. So again, Wing Chun teaches you how the body is naturally moving, and we're looking at that and then trying to capitalize on that ultimate body coordination to become more aware, to make that more functional for the application, which could be for self-defense in one application. But remember, the overall process is to understand how the body works as one true coordinated structure. So that's why, again, mechanically speaking, we punch with the arm extending straight out in a centerline punch, going forward towards that target. So we get into the idea of how the body naturally moves, and then we look deeper into how much tension actually is needed in the arm. Now we start to bridge into the idea of what is relaxed and ultimately what we call releasing that motion. So like with anything, you want to learn to relax the motion. How much tension do you actually need to extend the arm out? Because remember, power is based on two basic concepts: acceleration and then ultimately body support. So when I'm here, if I'm so tight when I go to make that fist, I can't accelerate my arm. Now, conversely, I don't want to be too loose where my arm, has no tension to it either. So I'm always want to find that balanced tension where from here I can hold my arm up, and it's really just want to whittle it down to that point where if I were to release that tension, relax that tension anymore, my arm may actually drop. So I want to find that balanced tension where my arm is up, is controlled, but I'm not going to be too stiff where I can't accelerate that motion. I need to have this arm to be loose and free and relaxed as a developmental process, because you have to make that arm relax. You have to discover for yourself what that feeling is of relaxation. That's one of the big ultimate goals of awareness, is to become more aware of the feelings of what you're trying to develop, the ultimate coordination, the control of everything that you're doing within Wing Chun. And that's how it starts. You've got to do a lot of experimenting with that. So I want to keep that arm relaxed as it's going. I don't want to be too stiff with that arm. Keep that motion relaxed in the beginning. Now we get into the concept of releasing the motion. Now, when we're teaching the punch as a developmental process, you want to learn to extend the arm all the way. I don't want to hold the arm back like this. Because think about it, if I was to throw a ball, again, this is the beautiful thing about Wing Chun, is that everybody's done the concepts and the theories that we're learning to do in Wing Chun in all processes of their life. Even from walking simply from point A to B, you're actually doing so many of these different concepts without even realizing it because they're natural body concepts. That's the beautiful thing about Wing Chun. So you want to learn to what we call release the motion. And that's why you have to extend the punch all the way. Think about if I was to throw a ball, right? You see pitchers throw the ball, man, they throw the ball. They're never taught to stop the arm this way right here and then have the ball be released from their arm. Why? Because they need to learn to extend all the way to not hold on to any of the tension of the motion. So when I'm here and I throw that ball, now not only can I utilize the maximum momentum that I'm developing when I throw that ball for the acceleration aspect of it, but I'm not holding on to any of the tension when I'm throwing that ball. And you have to learn to do that too. That's not, you don't get that right away, but I need to release that tension. I do that by learning to complete the motion all the way. And that's what we're doing when we do the centerline punch. I'm completing that motion, release the motion, release the motion. I'm releasing the power of that motion. Because if I learn to and try to stop my arm short from here, what am I doing? I'm actually accelerating and then holding myself back when I do that. I never want to learn to hold myself back. Remember, it's a developmental process. Now I can feel that release of motion. And now, once I learn the control and the feel of that motion, because I've developed it, now I can apply it in any different fashion that I want to. Whether I'm doing a punch motion, from here, chop motion, palm strike motion, but I need to learn that feel of the relaxation. That feel, that's what Wing Chun's so much about. I want to learn what the feel is. It's like learning what good food is. Anyways, so that's why it's important to understand why we extend all the way when I punch. Now, application-wise, you never want to say never, you never want to say always, but you would pretty much never extend all the way when you go to apply Wing Chun, because now we start to get into body support. And if my arm is extended all the way, I have less body support than if my arm is at what we call a Tanza range to make that punch happen. Now, where's the body support come from? Well, that comes from learning to stretch our shoulder. And that's also what you're doing when you're extending all the way. I'm stretching the shoulder, because it's that shoulder stretch. And again, you've got to find the right balance for that stretch. I don't want to make it so tight where I feel too much tension in my arms, and I want to make it too loose where my arm can be moved so easily. But from here, I feel a nice stretch, because now that gives me some connection to my body. And that's also what you're learning to do by releasing that motion when we do the centerline punch. So that's why we extend all the way straight. But you never want to actually apply the punch that way. I know I said never, but remember, from here, I want to learn to put my body behind that motion. So when I push that car, I don't push that car going this way, I push that car this way. That's why we punch in that same position that we punch in. I want to have my body behind that motion. Now, the other thing I want to get into when we talk about the connection of the arm to the body, yes, I said that stretch is from extending all the way. But now you got to look into, like I was saying, the body development of that. So when I punch forward, I don't want to let my shoulder slide forward from here. You see a lot of times punch in the beginning, yeah, you may let the shoulder slide. You may let the shoulder slide forward. And that's okay in the beginning because yes, you have to learn what that stretch is. But now from here, remember, you always want to be square. So I don't want to pull my shoulder back, but to feel the full connection of arm to body, I make sure my body is square. See that little adjustment? I don't want to pull my arm back this way here, but from here, I pull my shoulder back because I use my body to rotate. Now I feel a stretch this way and a stretch this way. And that's how you get the full connection of arm to body. And I have to do that through all my blocking motions that I might do, all my attacking motions. I always want to feel that extra pull. Now again, that's a higher level of connection and coordination, but that's what you're going for. That's why we punch, and I always say you've got to be square to the target. Yes, there's a lot of strategy behind being square to the target, so I can use both hands evenly as needed, but it's also to have the full connection of your arm to your body is why you need to be square. And now with the body too, I can't just be slouching right here and think, oh, I'll pull back. Again, I need to learn to make sure my body is in the correct position. My body is vertical. That's why we stretch from the back of the head to the neck, and you want to properly tuck the hips, and that will help you stretch the body out and find that tension again. Everything is a balanced tension, natural tension, but you've got to learn to stretch and experiment to be able to find what that natural tension is. All right, hope this helps. Good luck.